Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. It's been a while, isn't it? It's been a while since I did a little live with you, but we've got no midweek game this week, which sort of allows me the opportunity to do it. Plus, I'll be honest with you, the defeat yesterday stung a little bit more than others. I'm not sure. I do know what it is, actually. I think it's because of what's followed yesterday's defeat. I think in the past, when we've lost the game, Moyes has come out and said, we weren't good enough, right? We weren't good enough, this, that, the other. That's fine. He's addressing what's happened, what we've all just witnessed. We move on. Yesterday's defeat stung a little bit more for me because it was an opportunity to just put a little bit of space between us and the pack when we're sitting in fourth. They've also got games in hand. I know it's better to have points on board, but that was our opportunity to get the points on the board. But I think it's also the excuses that came out after yesterday's game as to why we lost it. The reference to other clubs getting games postponed and stuff, and why didn't Leeds have a game midweek? Well, Aston Villa had to play on the Monday night. Their Leeds is 2 games in hand. One of them is Liverpool. Liverpool played during the week, so Leeds physically couldn't play those postponed fixtures during the week. That's why. But I appreciate what Moyes is getting at here. But we knew for about 2 weeks that we had that Norwich game in the middle of it. We knew before the FA Cup game, while you applaud the manager for taking the FA Cup serious and putting out the first team, that is all very well and good. But then fatigue yesterday is going to be a repercussion. That's going to be a consequence of playing your first team against Leeds in the FA Cup. It's going to be a consequence of playing your first team against Norwich and not rotating for that one. When you're playing the team bottom of the Premier League, not using one or two of the youngsters perhaps, and then playing them again on Sunday and then saying, well, they were tired, we could have had a game postponed. Well, play if you want to have a game postponed, play the system like every other club is. Like I said, I did a video having a little rant about it on Saturday. But like I said, in that today, Burnley have tried to get their game tomorrow night. They're playing Watford tomorrow night, Burnley. Massive game for them for obvious reasons. They're trying to get the game postponed because of COVID. Now, we all know the real reason. They haven't got replacement for Chris Wood in yet. We know that. What Burnley are simply doing, they're playing the game. They're playing the system that's been set up by the Premier League, and they're taking advantage of it. They're doing what's right for Burnley Football Club. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do what's right for their club. Models and principles and all that goes out the window. At the end of the day, they need points on the board. Models ain't going to keep them in the Premier League. Points are, and the best way to get points is a striker. So Burnley they're playing the system. They're trying to get tomorrow night's game called off so they can try and purchase a striker until they play their next fixture. So I think when Moyes says, well, other games are maybe you should have. But I think that's why it stung a bit more yesterday. I woke up normally I get over it pretty quick. I wake up and I feel all right. I watched the game back because we do the player ratings. I watched the game twice to try and because you watch it without emotion the second time round and you can see things a bit clearer. And then today when I watched it, I could watch it a bit clearer, but I just got a bit frustrated. And then I see Moyes' comments in regards to Michail Antonio, and that frustrated me even more. He basically said that Antonio was tired, he needed taking off, but he couldn't take him off. But then Moyes had a comment of, what am I meant to do? Well, Gondor's doing a video tomorrow. Gondor's video tomorrow is on that comment in particular. And I can understand why. Same for myself. It's frustrating to hear because he chose to go into this season without a second striker. I know he said the ones he want and they're unavailable. There's no one available or too expensive. Well, that's not quite true, is it? I mean, Broha at Southampton is the prime example, the number one example of proving that theory incorrect. But he chose to go into season with this. And as I keep saying, yesterday, all our attacking players were available. So, yes, we can make excuses for the defence being crap. That was Creswell's just back from a month out. Dawson and Diop aren't our third and fourth choice centre-backs, and there's a partnership, they're not great. So, defensively, while there was errors, you can sort of excuse it to some extent. But the attacking side of it, there's no excuses there. When Moyes said, well, Antonio's tired, well, hang on, you've got all your attackers available to you. And before someone says Ben Rama, I know that, but Moyes knew literally a year ago when we signed Ben Rama permanently 12 months ago from Brentford, we knew he was going to be missing yesterday. We knew Ben Rama was going to be at African Nations. So there's only one thing here, and that's failing to prepare for Antonio's fatigue and stuff. And it's just frustrating. It's still a fantastic season and all that sort of stuff. But like I said, I think today's last night's just stung a little bit more. Now, you guys joining me, a massive thank you to everybody who's joining live. If you're in the live chat, do put in your questions and your comments. We'll have a look at what you're saying. Any questions, get them in. I'll have a little discussion with you too. Let's turn to live chat now and see what you're saying. Chris is saying that all the defeats since Wolves have been very disappointing because all screaming thin squad and Moyes' tactics. Don't understand why Longelo and the young centre-backs haven't had a shot. Rich is saying, is there obligation by Carroll or Areola? May explain why Carroll never plays. Gonzo seems to think so. Gonzo seems to believe that, well, both of them have got an obligation. I haven't heard anything to suggest it. I know we have. I believe it's an option to buy on Areola. We've got a fixed fee with PSG coming the end of the season, which we can decide whether to trigger it or not. I've not heard of an obligation. So it's one of them we'll wait and see. But there's got to be something to explain the Alex Carroll thing. Either it's the appearances or he's crap. It's one of the two. There's no excuse for him not getting a game, especially at the minute when Souček's out for 2 games. He still can't get into the team. It's not great. And yesterday, I think I would have liked to have seen Carroll start the game. For those that tuned in the preview, we felt Carroll should have started yesterday's game. But anyway, even at half-time, he should have come onto the pitch. It was clear we'd been overrun in midfield. Carroll should have entered the pitch, but he didn't. Why? I don't know. And this is where when Moyes sort of suggests about fatigue and so, well, you've got to do a little bit better then. I mean, Ben Johnson didn't play yesterday or against Norwich City. You can't say he's not okay. You can't say he's not ready. Carroll, yeah, okay. If you don't think he's ready, that's fine. Ben Johnson is. You didn't use him. So I just think it contradicts. I think sometimes the excuses contradict the actions a little bit. Well, you say that, but you're doing something completely different. So which is it? But anyway, let's have a look. Oz says, in fairness, he needs to protect his players. Got 10 good players at the minute and 2 are keepers. Don't mind excuses just by reinforcements. Well, I agree with that. There's a correlation there a little bit, which is, well, if your squad's light, transfer window opened 17 days ago, you haven't got anyone in. Now, if you want to wait till the end of the transfer window, that's fine. But sort of like make your bed, you lie in it kind of thing, because if you're going to choose to do that, then you're also choosing to be happy or content, at least, with the squad that you've got until the end of the transfer window. So when these games come up, you can't then say, well, we've got a thin squad. Yeah, but you've had 2 weeks to rectify it. You've decided to wait, which, again, like I said, is okay. That's his choice. But you can't then use an excuse for not having enough bodies in. Patrick said we need to request a postponement, otherwise we'll finish our season way before anyone else. That's not a bad thing. I do think the one silver lining to all this, currently, as it stands, I could be wrong, I think only ourselves, Man City and Chelsea are the 3 teams that have fulfilled all their fixtures so far today. Now, there's some teams have obviously had games called off and they haven't requested it. Leeds United have had 2 games off. They never requested either of them. It was Aston Villa and Liverpool that requested them to get postponed. So there's only 3 teams. I'm just hoping that later on in the season, some of these teams, Burnley, if Burnley get the game called off tomorrow, they'll have 5 games in hand. 5. They're going to have to play 4 games in a week towards the end of the season, especially when they're coming up against teams that have got European football commitments, because that rules out half the football calendar between now and May. The season's got to finish by the final day of the season, simple as that. So they're really going to have to squeeze some games in. And I hope that benefits West Ham. I hope that we play on a Saturday, then another Saturday, and the team that we're playing, whoever it might be, has a game slap bang in the middle of it because it got postponed. And we can take advantage of fulfilling our fixtures and take advantage of other teams having theirs postponed. Black Country Hammer says, have you heard about Andy Carroll? Yeah, I've seen that. Tony's just saying it as well. Andy Carroll's been spotted at the training ground. I've seen that. I hope not. I'm not right. I loved Andy Carroll last time. I really, really did like Andy Carroll. And I mean, it's been years since he's been here, so there'll be a lot of new people that haven't seen us cover Andy Carroll before. I used to defend him quite a lot because I just really liked him. I really liked Andy. He's done really well at Reading. I've seen a few games of Reading. Obviously, we've all seen his 2 disallowed goals he scored the other day. He scored at the weekend again as well. So he's done really well for Reading. Reading in the Championship, he's keeping himself fit. He's playing, I believe, for £1,000 a week at Reading. His wages are that low. So whenever, it's funny, I know people have always called him like a money grabber or whatever in the past, and perhaps because of that, he's able to play for only £1,000 a week. But then that contradicts everything else, doesn't it? You know, it shows that he's just determined. He just wants to play football. And that's, you know, £1,000 a week still healthy. And I know people say, well, if he just wants to play, why does he not play for free? It's still his job at the end of the day. He's still got to get a wage. But it does smack of Maid, though, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Remember when we signed him and David Sullivan literally said it's only £1,000 a week? Because if you say, what can go wrong? £1,000 a week for a Premier League player? What a bargain. It doesn't matter who it is. His ability doesn't really matter. It's £1,000 a week. I'm having that. It's a little bit of that. I don't want him back. I don't want him back at all. Do you know something? If we signed Andy Carroll, and that was it, if we'd signed no other striker, it really would be a kick in the bollocks to the fans and a little bit to David Moyes as well, to say this is how serious we are taking our European campaign this season. We signed Andy Carroll on a free. I don't believe it. For what it's worth, I don't believe it. He might have been at the training ground. I'm not saying I don't believe that, but there could be any number of reasons why he's there. I don't think it's the sign for West Ham. You know, he's strongly linked with Burnley at the minute, which would make a bit more sense. They need a striker, and also they're probably going to get relegated. And he suits the way they play. He doesn't even suit the way a fit in prime Andy Carroll doesn't suit the way we play football these days. I just don't see it at all. Darden says, a year since we sold Alier and no replacement. It's a piss take, plain and simple as that. Matt saying Broha got to be over. I agree. I mentioned him in the summer because I'd only seen bits and pieces from his time at Vitesse, but like I said in the summer, when Chelsea are refusing to loan out a player, which they were originally, because they think he's going to be in the first team, that's a bit of an indication to his ability. And also, as soon as Lukaku went in, things changed for him. So, fair play Southampton. They're the ones that identified it and moved for it. But Ben says, at the moment, Moyes is beyond any type of criticism, apart from being slow in the transfer market. As far as the football side of things go, don't even go there. Hammer 1999, do you think African nations have an effect on our transfer? Diallo, PSG, Bayo, Clermont, been heavily linked to there. They are, so is Agard, is that how you say his name? Naif Agard. I've been watching a lot of the African nations. I was telling Gonzo about it. We did a breakfast show before the Norwich game. I was telling Gonzo a little bit about the African nations. He doesn't watch any of it. And I was saying it's like the banter tournament of football, really. Every time I watch a game, there's something that happens. It's just a bit wild. You see, the worst thing is after I told Gonzo about it, that was a day when the keeper that was playing Ivory Coast caught the ball, fell over, and it fell out of his hands, and they scored in the last minute to make 2-2. I've watched a little bit of it because when we are linked to players, when we are linked to players like those, I can't say we've ever really seen them play, so I'm trying to watch it and keep an eye out. Of everybody, or players we've been linked with and stuff. I don't think it's impacting it, and it shouldn't. And if it is, then that's on us. It's a bit like the Ben Rama thing. If you're going to target players that's at the African nations, expect a difficult time, expect difficult negotiations. You can't. It's the same in the summer when we've got the Euro Championships on. We're trying to buy a player that's perhaps there. It's a difficult thing to do. So if you're going to go after a player that's in a different continent playing in a tournament, well, that's on you. You're going to have to be the one that deals with it, really. James, E20's on TV. It's become a battle of Moyes against the board with signings. Is Moyes being too stubborn and not proactive enough? I'm unsure. Historically, Moyes has always taken his time. And I've said in the past, I think Moyes can be a bit too slow, and I think Sullivan can be pretty poor at negotiations. So a combination of the both of them isn't the best scenario that you want. It's not ideal, is it? So HL says, I hate the scattergun approach we have to the transfer market. I don't think we've got one, to be honest with you. I think that's just the rumours. I think it just leads you to believing that we have a scattergun approach. I don't think we do. I think Moyes will have a very small list of transfer targets who he wants, and I don't believe it's like that. And that's what the newspapers make out, but I don't think it is. Are we close to any signings? I don't believe so. Luke, do you believe that Lingard has only 98 minutes? Well, I do. He's only had 90 minutes, as he didn't believe. But I know what you're trying to say. It is bad, isn't it? He's messed up staying at that club. And I just think there's a couple of clubs that want Jesse, and I think Jesse wants out. I think it's a game of chicken. Wait towards the end of the window, and then if you approach Man United on the 29th of January, you're calling it bluff, aren't you? Accept our 5-8 million or whatever it is, or he walks on a free at the end of the season. What do you want? And it puts them under pressure a little bit to sell. I think if Jesse goes, he's going to go in the final 2 or 3 days of the transfer window. As with any other player with a contract running out at Club Tarkowski as well. Mark, the one thing I'll never understand is why the preparations for transfer window not done prior to opening. All we hear is manager meeting the board during window. Why? So it is a bit frustrating, isn't it? Especially when we've got Rob Newman. And Rob Newman arrived in September and was happy days. We've been happy to sort of broadcast all the scouts we're hiring, which this should. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to expand the recruitment team, the scouting team. We're expanding it. We're growing it, investing in it. Brilliant. This is good stuff. But we've got to see the rewards for it, which is the transfer window. And as Mark does say, it does open on the 1st. So why they're not sort of ready to rock and roll on the 1st of January, it is frustrating, isn't it? We'd like to see a little bit quicker activity. I've always been I said at the start, before the Norwich game come in, I changed my mind a little bit. When we were playing Palace, Leeds, Man U, I was like, we're not really under any pressure here. Ideally, in for the Man United game, because it's a tough fixture, but we'd have coped without it. Any signings. The Norwich one come in, I thought, could probably do the centre-back prior to the Norwich fixtures. It turns out I was correct. Would like to see a signing before Man U, though. I know Souček's back. I know Zuma's back as well. But we could still do one player, couldn't we? We could still do with one more. Ryan's in the live chat. I hope you're doing well, Ryan. Souček had it, so does Kurt Zuma. Kurt Zuma had COVID as well. There's quite a few other players that have had it, but recently it was Souček and Zuma. Paul says Moyes should try reverting Antonio back to his wide role, let Bowen fill Antonio's new position. There's no plan B. Masak is playing back. The problem is Bowen's like playing 10 out of 10 at the minute, isn't he? If you take Bowen out of that position, I used to be a bit like that, Paul. I was keen to see Bowen up front because he was the one scoring the goals. But what Bowen contributes from that right wing position is just ridiculous, to be honest with you. I think we put him in first. You build a team around Jared Bowen. At the moment, usually you put your striker in and say, right, how do we get the best out of this man? Actually, I think we should be putting Jared Bowen in and saying, how do we get the best out of him? A bit like what Liverpool do with Mo Salah. What we're paying Rob Newman to do? Well, wait and see. You've got to judge him at the end of the window, haven't you? You've got to judge him at the end of the window. And I think you have to expect and possibly accept that Moyes has got to be the one that calls the shots. We always say we want the manager to be the one that calls the shots, and I agree with it. My phrase is a manager should do or die with his own sword. Send him into battle with his own sword, and not the board sword, not Rob Newman's sword, the one that Moyes picks. So Moyes wants to wait till the end of the window, bring in players for whatever reason, then unfortunately that's what Rob Newman's got to do. He's got to work with David Moyes, identify the players that Moyes wants, but sometimes it'll take a while until we see the benefit of Rob Newman. I've never understood. Sometimes when it was Everton, a couple of years ago, when they signed quite a few big players in one summer, and after about 2 months, they're like, "Oh, get rid of the guy that signed them all." I don't think it was it Walsh or Guppy? It was one of them. It was a former Leicester player anyway. But I thought, well, you can't. When it comes to like a head of scouting, I think you've got to wait a year before you see if his signings have worked and stuff. It's a bit like Vlasic. I think we won't really know if Vlasic has worked until next season. Now, I know Newman didn't bring him in. What I'm trying to say is if Newman brought in players today, I think you've got to wait until next January before you even start to judge whether they've been a success or not. You've got to let them settle in and get used to the way that we play and the way we are as a football club. So to some extent, you've got to allow Rob Newman to come in and make changes in the background, which he has done. But we'll wait and see. We shall wait and see. Taz is saying he didn't realise Carl's an inexperienced. It is a bit of a confusion, isn't it? What's going on with Alex Carl? Nobody really knows. We'll probably find out the truth at some point, but I think it might just be that David Moyes doesn't rate him. Upton Parker, Leeds were a class above yesterday. They pass well to each other, can initiate build-up play. West Ham kept hitting and hoping. Moyes said, let's all back him up. We need players who can play football. Jelly said, we can't keep relying on a super thin squad. It'll be interesting to see the XG pre-injuries. And Imran says that it's shocking we haven't signed anyone 2 weeks into the window. Wasting time, we will drop more points. However, Ben saying David Moyes always does his business late. Don't panic while Richard thinks we're waiting for the bargains. Ionic says, I understand we didn't score goals, but goals aren't our issue. Our back four are. We were blitzed by a competent Leeds side. Diop was poor. Bowen could have saved our blushes. Make amend in Man United game. I agree with that. I'm looking forward to Man United game, actually. Got my... Christ almighty, this is a bad attempt at picking something up. Got my ticket. I'm off there on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. My first game of 2022. It would be good to get a centre back in. I've not really seen anyone that we're linked to that tickles my fancy yet. Some of the players been linked to, I don't know though. I will say that though. There'll be some players that'll be linked to. They'll come in and do really well. I don't know them though. But the ones we have been linked to and I've heard of, they're all right. They're fine enough, but I'm not doing cartwheels about the prospect of signing them as yet. But I've always had reservations over sort of Dawson and Diop individually and as a partnership, and just praying that Zuma's back for Man United, because I think Zuma makes either of them better. Zuma next to Dawson makes Dawson better. Zuma next to Diop makes Diop better. The partnership of Zuma plus one of them is better than what we had on Sunday. So yeah, getting back Kurt Zuma would be a massive, massive plus. He wasn't out for very long, was he? We thought it was maybe season ending. It's not too bad in the end. Epic Hash Time says that Babianski costs us many points. Finn's asking about Andy Carroll. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't. And I was an Andy Carroll fan. Gary, we needed players in before Norwich and Leeds. Man United, getting them when we have a 2-week break. When we have a 2-week break. Mark says substitutions are baffling. More importantly, if all we can do when we are chasing games, bring on Masuaku and Yarmolenko, then we are in. It's not all we can do. That's all we did. That's two different things. There was other things we could have done. And the worst thing is Leeds yesterday. I know he was forced into it. I know he was. But he still brought on two teenagers, Bielsa. Whereas we also didn't. We brought on our two experienced players. And I think it was easy choices to make from Moyes. I think it was the easy ones to turn to, but I don't think it was the right ones. I think he could have had better youngsters on the bench, and I think he could have brought them on as well. Sports Stats said that he's not happy with Rice. He feels he's bombing forward too much, holding Souček back. I wouldn't mind if Rice had a good shot or assist, but he doesn't. He's world-class defensive midfielder, but a poor attacking midfielder. I think Rice is just world class, though, isn't he? And I know what you're saying. To get the best out of Souček, you need Rice to sit back. But I think the best of Rice has changed now. I think, yes, he is one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League. He's probably the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League. But I think he's also one of the best complete centre midfielders in the Premier League. And I don't think Souček is. So I think Declan's probably better at the box-to-box thing than what Souček is. Souček's better at scoring goals. That's the one thing I will say about Souček. He's better at scoring goals. But I think Declan's better at everything else, really. I know Declan doesn't get loads of assists, but I don't think Souček does either. He's good at heading it down and stuff. But in terms of creating something from open play, it's not really Souček's strong point or Declan Rice's strong point. I appreciate what you're trying to say, which is it's not been working when they have played together, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't disagree with it. I've been quite vocal about it, and I did a video at the start of the season about it because I don't think it was working, and a lot of people obviously agree, but there was also a lot of people that said, "Oh, shut up, nothing to worry about." But well, I still think it's not as effective as it was last season, is it? Declan's got better, but the partnership's got worse. I guess it depends. What do you rate more highly? Declan Rice as Declan Rice, or the partnership of the pair of them? Normally, I would say the partnership, but actually, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's one of those that split opinion. And I think it should change from every single game. It depends who your oppositions are. That's the problem with Lanzini yesterday. That's why I didn't want to see Lanzini start next to Declan Rice yesterday against Leeds, because I thought Leeds midfield would be too much. It would be too much for someone like Lanzini in there. But we play Man U on Saturday. I think the Rice-Lanzini partnership would work against Man U. That midfield at Old Trafford won't press or harry or be as physical as the Leeds United midfield, where it would suit Lanzini in a deeper role. Obviously, Souček's going to come back in, but I'm just saying that because it didn't work yesterday doesn't mean it wouldn't work in future. In some games, the Souček-Rice thing doesn't quite work, but it will in other games. It depends what the fixture is. We are not Manchester City. We are a very, very good Premier League side, but sometimes you've got to take the opposition into account. Even Man City, Pep Guardiola still takes the opposition into account and makes subtle changes to accommodate who he's coming up against. So anyway, don't know why I ranted about. I didn't rant, did I? It was fine. Pellegrini's poor signings and contracts will haunt us for seasons. Well, maybe. I mean, Fornals has been a bit of a mainstay in David Moyes' team until recently. That was a Pellegrini signing. Fabianski's done all right, isn't he? He's our number one keeper. He's done okay. Diop's had good spells. I still think Diop's a good defender, by the way. I still think he is. And I had a bit of a rant to Gonzo this morning when we did the player ratings because I know I criticised Diop a lot yesterday, and rightly so. You can't defend that. Ironically, either could Diop. But I do think he gets punished a lot more than what Dawson does. Is it because of the price tag? Is it because he's English? And I think it's because Dawson just gives 100%. That's fine. He gives 100%. And it's sort of like, well, Dawson's not meant to pass the ball, so we'll allow him to be crap at distribution. Okay, well, Diop likes to pass it into centre midfield, but why don't I allow that? We criticise that as well. I just think Diop gets more of a hard time than what Craig Dawson does, and I think sometimes they're both as bad as each other in games. Yesterday, Diop's mistakes got punished. They got punished. Dawson, at the end of the first half, let Dan James in. It was horrendous defending by Dawson. Luckily, Dan James hit straight at Fabianski. He goes unpunished, and it sort of goes unmentioned moving forward. So I think Pellegrini made some bad signings, but he made some good ones as well. Every manager makes good and bad ones. Can't forget, David Moyes signed Jordan Hugo. That didn't work out. Moyes was the manager here. Well, so far we've signed Alex Kral. That's definitely not worked out so far, has it? Every manager has good signings and bad ones. There's very rare managers that make only... Trying to think of a bad one that Klopp's made at Liverpool. Minamino, there you go. Minamino's not really worked out, is it? It's not been a success. Man City, Pep Guardiola. I would suggest that Nathan Ake, while he's a good player, is not really a good signing for Manchester City, is it? Every manager makes good signings and bad ones. It's just a case of how good are the good ones and how expensive are the bad ones, I guess. Right, let's have a little look. Let's see what you're all saying. James is saying, I'm getting to the point now of the striker situation whereby it's simply just get a striker in. Doesn't matter if it fits the mould. Yeah, I can understand that, James. I'm still a bit like, there's no point in doing that because Moyes won't use him. If we get any striker in, and this, actually, the person we're being linked to is the prime example. Gabriel Barbosa. That is not a David Moyes player. Now, if we were to get him in, do I have faith Moyes would use him? Perhaps reluctantly in games like yesterday. I think he might come on. But starting games, no. If Antonio's fit, Antonio starts. Regardless of Barbosa's form, Barbosa could score a hat-trick. He'd still be on the bench next game if Antonio's fit because it's not the one that David Moyes wants. Moyes is a stubborn manager. It's not always a bad thing, though. It's being stubborn is deemed, pardon me, a bad character trait, and it can be, but it can also be a good thing sometimes. So I'm not quite at that point yet, which is get any striker in, because I think it's a bit pointless under David Moyes. He just simply will not use it. Chris says, in an ideal world, we need 3 midfielders, 2 wingers, 2 strikers, 2 centre-backs, 1 left-back. Well, you judge yourself. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get all that. I don't think we're going to be getting that much. I don't think we need that much either. Jordan, I agree. Heath says the most you can see us doing is a centre-back on loan. I think it'll be a loan signing or an under £10 million signing. 10 million roughly is the fee I think we'll pay. And that's for a striker and a centre-back each, one of each. So 20, 30 million in total, 15 million maximum for one of those players. That's what I can see us doing. How much could we get for Diop? I still think we'll get 20 million, you know. I know we signed him for, 22 million or something. I think we'd get our fee back. Like I said, I still think I think he's a good centre-back. I don't think the way Diop plays suits us. I think he's a bit of a ball-playing centre-back. Almost a bit too adventurous. You look at Leeds' third goal yesterday, that pass to Vlasic. Now, had he made that pass to Lanzini or Declan Rice, nothing. I think Lanzini or Rice turns around and we move the ball at pitch and it becomes a good pass. But because Vlasic gets caught out, it becomes a bad pass. And it was a bad pass. I think the only reason it was a bad one is because of the distance. It was about 30 yards he played it into Vlasic. It was easy to defend against. But I just think Diop just doesn't necessarily suit the way that David Moyes plays, whereas I think Craig Dawson does. So he'll only do well at another club that plays to his abilities. So I don't know, 20 million. I'd be disappointed if it took less. I wouldn't sound for less than 15, but I think 20 million would be a fair fee for anyone. Ruben, have we missed our chance to cement ourselves a top 6 club? No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think so. No, not having that. I think the season's still there to be tackled. We need to get a couple of signings in. I think we'll be all right. We'll be in and about the top 6. I think we will. We'll be fine. Christian also can't get his head around why come January 1st we haven't got targets to pursue. It seems that we think you can't even think of other players till the window's open. Joshua, John Stones, no chance, 100%. Yes, I would love John Stones, but no chance of getting him here. And Doss says that Moyes are didra and the board are stinge bags, match made in heaven. That's my rule of thumb as well, a little bit when it comes to the transfer window. Martin is also saying, was point getting director of football going to wait till January the 31st? We need reinforcements as quickly as possible. Right. Alan, well, maybe he does play for Everton. Alan says, as your resident Leeds fan, I'm far happier this week than last. Excellent summing up of Moyes' moans. I was a bit disappointed with him. Yes, so was I, my friend. So was I. I think the difference between yesterday and with other games that we've lost is Moyes usually Moyes has got it right. It's just that we haven't played very well for whatever reason. Whereas yesterday, I think it was the first time that Moyes got done. I think Bielsa outdone Moyes perfectly. Leeds' tactics were bang on. Press us high, fast, get the ball in behind our defence, and we couldn't cope with it. And then the onus was on Moyes to change it a little bit, and he didn't. He left our centre midfield the way it was. The substitutions were really poor. And I think it was Bielsa 2, David Moyes 0 yesterday, really. And I think that's why we saw Moyes deflecting a little bit from the game performance, because usually he can come out and say, we played poorly. I basically saying I got everything right. That lot didn't do the job. But I think yesterday was a case of I messed up a little bit. They didn't play well, but neither did I. It was bad performances in the dugout and on the pitch yesterday. This is my therapy, by the way. Tomorrow, I'll tell you why it's my therapy. Tomorrow's video, I've got an interview. I've done an interview with Neil Mellor. Do you remember him? Neil Mellor played for West Ham back in 2003, 2004. So I've done a little video with him about his time at West Ham. So that'll go up on the channel tomorrow evening. So completely different, away from the football. We can forget about the defeat. Hopefully you guys can enjoy the interview I've done with Neil Mellor. Because this year, in 2022, any interview that we do on the channel, half the revenue, and we will keep half because it's our jobs. We need the income, so we'll keep half. But the other half, we're going to put it to one side. And then come towards the end of 2022, we're going to, whatever money we've collected, we're going to hand it over to the Iron Supported Food Bank, and they'll put it to good use. John, who runs the food bank, is a good friend of the channel. We've helped him out. We've done quite a bit for the food bank. You know, the last couple of boats, we've not charged any entry. We've been giving the donations to the food bank, and it's nice to get a message from him with little updates. You know, yesterday, at the game yesterday, with the boats and people passing by with the collection buckets and whatnot, they were able to raise £2,000 for a pallet of food for the food bank. So that's brilliant news. So hopefully in 2022, we can do some good interviews for you guys, but also we can raise a little bit of money for the food bank. So Neil Mellor is the first guest, and next week's guest is a bit of a cracker, actually. Next week's guest, I haven't seen him do any videos on any West Ham media or mainstream media either. So it's a bit of a... And I'm excited for next week's guest. I've not recorded that one yet, but I'm excited for it. Anyway, tomorrow night, Neil Mellor. So I'll do another 5 minutes or so, then I'll get wrapping up. I'm going out for it depends where you're from. I'm going out for supper/tea/dinner. I don't know what else you could call this meal. I'm going out for food in a little bit. So 5 more minutes. Robert says there's no protection behind Rice when you move forward. Fatal not having Carroll and the Souček roles out of Lanzini. Stupid. Agree with that. Max, we could have rested several players needed a cup or Norwich games, chose not to, then when lost to Leeds, complain. Yes, that's it. Max, that's it. That's the one. That's what I was trying to say. But I've taken 40 minutes to say it. Max said it in a sentence. There you go. Thanks, Max. While you're all here, I'm going to keep going for 5 minutes. While you're here, drop a like on the video if you can, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I like it. It gives me a little motivational boost when I see the thumbs up on the videos. I'm not going to pretend it means nothing to me. It does. I think, oh, it's gone down well, the viewers. Happy days. Encourages me. I like it. Jordan said he's dreading the Man U game. I'm not. I cannot wait for the Man United game. I hate Man U. I know there's teams you hate because of who you support. So you support West Ham, you hate Millwall, you hate Tottenham. But there's also teams you support for your own personal reason. We've all got them. It might be where you're from, might be family members, might be where you now live. There's reasons you hate. I hate Man U because I'm from Aberdeen. So when I was growing up as a little boy, I was the only West Ham fan. Well, me and my brother were West Ham fans. I was a Chelsea fan, one Tottenham fan. They were crap back then as well. A couple of Liverpool ones, glory hunters. Everyone else, and I mean everyone else, was Man United. It was just Man United everywhere, and I hated it. Well, I didn't hate it, but we also got relegated and stuff when I was at school. So I'd come in, be doing PE. I'd have my Navy shirt on. Do you remember that Navy one? It had it was JobServe. I think it was JobServe sponsor. I had Carroll on the back with the nationwide stamp thing on the bottom of the number. You had you've got the badge of the logo of the league, don't you? So the Man United ones were running about with Rooney on the back or whatever. I was running about with Carrick, but I had the EFL logo on the bottom of my number. So you get mocked, wouldn't you? I mean, trust me, I had my day when we beat them in the FA Cup when we had the Tevez. I had my day. I walked in there. Yeah, I support. What are you going to do about it now? But anyway, they were the original plastic club, weren't they? And I hate Man United for it because I used to go to one home game, one away game, and 8 other every season. My dad would take us to 3 games, and usually every second or third season, Old Trafford was the away game because Newcastle were sometimes in a different division. So it was the most northern team, I guess. It was quite easy to get to from Aberdeen, Manchester. So I'd been to Old Trafford more than the so-called Man United fans. And as a child, I probably didn't appreciate it enough. Now I've grown up and I can look at it. I think, thank God, A, I don't support them, and B, I got taken to grounds and I had to do the miles, if you like, with my dad. Yeah, so Man United, I hate Man United more than any other club, other than West Ham's rivals. So Saturday, we better win. Liam, do you think we would be informed about signings when they happen as much as we have done in the past, or do you think Moyes has put a 100% stop? A bit of both. I think he's got a little bit better on some things. I think he's quieting down on some things. But I think they tend to get out. And it's not necessarily the West Ham side of it. So it's sometimes the other side of the deal. So the Barbosa thing, I believe that bid's real, by the way. The Barbosa thing, it's not come from West Ham side, I think, at all. That's why when I did the video with Darmesh, someone commented, going, well, he's also making something up because the leaks have stopped. Well, I think, use your noggin a little bit. He's not saying he rang up David Moyes and he got it from the agent involved at Gabriel Barbosa's side of things. It's his agent that's informed Darmesh. Now, Darmesh hasn't told me that, but you can work it out. You can work out where Darmesh has got information from. But there's definitely still leaks at West Ham. And 100%, when you mentioned about, forgive me if I get his name wrong, Callum Marshall, that came from Linfield and he scored for the under-23s the other day, other under-18, sorry. Him, anyway, X told us he had signed about a month before the club announced it. So leaks still happen. I think Moyes has cut down on it and he's done well to cut down on it. But some still happen and they always will. There's too many people involved in the deal these days to keep it shush. Rice is world class. Him going forward leaves us exposed. Better for the team if Rice stays back, but who can blame him looking for glory? Well, if his duty is to stay back, if his job is to stay back, then he bloody should stay back. It's got to be on Moyes, this whole box-to-box thing. I mean, I'm not having to go for Moyes like that. I've just said I don't mind Rice doing that. But I would assume it's under the instruction of the manager to do that. If not, then we've got a bit of a problem if Rice is doing it for looking for the glory, if you like. Robert says, let's be honest, Vlasic the waste of 25 million, bang average, no better than a half-decent championship winger. I will judge him next season. I always say I'll judge him in the second season. It's just my rule. Belcar, Rice's 3 assists, which at half a season is pleasing. If you've got 5 and 6, that is up with Soufal and Cresswell last season. It's a fair point. Didn't take set pieces either. Cresswell obviously does, which boosts the numbers a little bit. Rice won a lot of corners, that's about it. When he's through on the keeper, he fluffed it with a bad finish. Oh, I'm not having that. That was not a bad finish. No, not having that. It was a difficult thing to do. When he took it past the keeper, it's difficult. The speed you're running at, the pace the ball's travelling at, it's very, very difficult to do anything with that. I just thought it was just unlucky, that's all. I'm not having that. Not agree. Sorry, Charge. I like you, but I'm not agreeing with that one. No. If Declan's going to bomb forward, needs Souček and Carroll, possibly, but then you're sacrificing an attacking player to have Carroll and Souček in there behind Declan, aren't you? Sports Stats says one thing is Rice's dribbling and ball control is unbelievable. 100%. 100%. I've not seen a player that can pick the ball up at the halfway line and get us right outside the opposition's 18-yarder as quick and as easy as Declan Rice has been doing it this season. His dribbling's fantastic. James Gunn. Chelsea selling Bro half 20 million all day long. I would have paid, I'll be honest with you. I would have paid 35 million for him. I would have. I think it's not just him as a player. He's 20 years old, and the way he plays suits the way that we play. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he's clinical. He looks deadly in front of goal. I would love Broha here. I know Chelsea would have that buyback clause inserted in the deal. I don't care. Assuming it's 50% above what you pay, essentially Chelsea are paying you to have him on loan, and it's only Chelsea that can activate that clause. It's not like anyone else can come get him. And if Chelsea do buy him back, it's because he's world class. Chelsea only sign world class players. They only sign world class players. So Chelsea are going to buy him. It's because he's turned world class, and it means that we benefited from having a world class striker for 6 months, a season, 18 months, whatever it might be. No brainer. Absolute no brainer, that one. That should be the number one target for us, really. I know we won't get him. He'll go to Southampton, but we love him. I think Rice playing an attacking style and having left us massively open. Yesterday would have worked if it was last season's Rice. Possibly. I think that's a fair point in regards to the partnership with him and Lanzini. If Rice is going to go forward, yeah, I've clicked on that. Oh, sorry, I'm well behind on the chat again because I've been chatting far too much. Sharky, any news on Rice signing a new deal? No. Now, when last week, me and Gonzo did the video about Rice being 200 million, there was obviously people in the comments going, why are we talking about we're selling him? We could just keep him. Well, we could. But there's no indication of Rice signing a new deal at the minute. So until that happens, we have to speak about selling Declan Rice because it's going to have to happen. We can't allow him to just run down his contract and go for free. I know, listen, I just assume myself and Gonzo are going to have to say that we could get Champions League football and convince Rice because that is obviously the priority. Of course we want that. Everybody wants that. I just assume that you all want that as well. Hence why I don't say, you guys think we should sell Rice or keep him. I just assume we'd all keep him. But for your question, nothing. Which is I'm not that concerned actually. I'm not concerned. Chris, going to do a transfer video like you did last year when you went through our needed positions with a theoretical transfer budget. It was class. The website's gone. The website we used has gone. They set up their website and they had some issues and stuff, and so they've sort of revamped it and relaunched as a completely different website and brand, which is frustrating because I quite liked it. I'll see if I can do something, Chris, because I enjoyed doing that actually. So we'll have a little look. Mike, how can you guys complain about how West Ham's doing? It's been so long, but nobody is complaining about how we're doing. No, I've not seen. Right, honestly, I've not seen anyone in the live chat complain about how we're doing. I've seen people frustrated or concerned about the lack of transfers and having an opinion on it. And sorry to pick on Mike. Mike, I know you might be referring to something I've missed. I'm aware of that. But one thing that frustrates me about social media, and I know it's a social media thing, but I guess YouTube is a form of social media to some extent. One thing that frustrates me the most is if someone yesterday said, I thought Antonio had a really poor game. Someone will reply and say, yeah, but look how good he's been for us as striker. Get off his... Well, hang on a minute. You can have a poor game, but not think he's crap. So, a bit like yesterday, we can think West Ham were crap yesterday. We can think certain players played crap yesterday. We think Moyes can got it wrong yesterday. yesterday. We can be frustrated about the lack of transfer activity. What that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean we don't rate those players or the manager if they were having a fantastic season. There's not a correlation. It's possible to think we're having an absolutely amazing season, but be a bit pissed off about yesterday. You don't have to do one or the other. It's possible to do both. So when someone says, why are you moaning about yesterday? Well, because we were crap, because it was a fantastic opportunity, and we were rubbish. We got beat, and we deserved to get beat. And Leeds were the better team. Bielsa was the better manager. Rafinha was a better right winger. Well, a bit harsh on board, maybe. Their centre backs were better than our centre. We're allowed to have a moan. Just like when we win, we're allowed to shout that West Ham are massive, that we're gonna play Barcelona and that we're going to head to Sevilla. We're allowed to sing all those things and have a bloody good time, because that's what being a football fan is all about. Football is fickle. It's very short term. Yes, we're going to get pissed off. And if we beat Man U on Saturday, it would be like yesterday and it never existed. We'll talk about Antonio being the best Premier League striker, Bowen for England, all that sort of stuff. That's football. There doesn't have to be a correlation all the time between being disappointed about one game and being pissed off with it. And if it's sort of like, well, because you're having a good season, you can't get upset about one game, then what's the point? You know, what are you going to do then? Sit quiet until how many games do you need to get beat before you can moan about it? 3, 4, 5? Oh, I don't know. I know it's a social media thing and stuff, and it just winds me up. It winds me up a lot. It's a bit like when somebody says, it's like that, isn't it? If I like apples, why do you not like oranges? Why have you not said anything about pear? I just said I like apples, mate. It's all right. It's all right. Anyway, right, I'll grab a couple more, then I'm really going to disagree. This was meant to be half an hour long, so I'm really, really sorry. Frank saying that Moyes is turning the clock with excuses. James, why are we not? Yeah, I know, James. We covered it. Gary, if we're waiting for players until the summer, they might not come because with this squad, we ain't going to be Europe. So, well, yeah, I agree with that. I can see what Gary was saying. We need to take advantage of the position we're in at the minute and get the players in now in order to sustain that. Pardon me. Jesus, that was a big one. Pardon me. Anyway, Gary says, man, you looked all right against Villa. So. Robert, I'm telling you, the Southampton Leeds games are terrible and highlight our shortcomings. If we don't get 2 3 players in the January, we're finishing 7th or 8th, which at the start of the season I would have taken. I would have taken that. If you said to me at the start of the season, you'll do all right in the FA Cup, you'll get into the last 16 in Europa League, you'll finish 7th, I would have said, yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But my aims have changed for the season because of how well we've done in the first half. I think I always say, I know you've heard me say this 10 times, and I'll say it 11 times. When you get more data, you reevaluate. And so when you get every game that goes by, you reevaluate a little bit. So when you're sitting 4th, halfway point of the season, of course you're going to then want to finish in the European spots again. But hey ho. Joel doesn't think we were crap yesterday. A lot of our fans falling in trap for not giving the opposition for kudos for playing well. Leeds did play well. Leeds did play well yesterday. I think a lot of some of our players were crap. I don't think they were all crap. I thought Rice was good. I thought Bowen was good. I thought Fornals was actually all right. I thought Lanzini was okay as okay can be. Creswell just come back from an injury, if you like. But I thought we weren't good enough as a team yesterday. Too many individuals had a poor game. As a team, we were poor. I thought Moyes' tactics were poor in comparison to Bielsa's. But Chris is a Leeds fan. Chris says, as a Leeds fan, I was over the moon with yesterday. But from my point of view, you're fine. You're having your best season in years. And frankly, crap happens. I agree with that, Chris. And you just, like other people have said, you deserve the win. And Neil says Moyes has over-delivered as a term of results, but his transfer dealing last season has not impacted the team at all. It's hard to disagree with that regarding the summer transfers. We have 100 million this window plus more in the summer. If the new guy really wants, yeah, we ain't spending 100 million. This window and the summer combined, we ain't spending 100 million unless we sell someone. Now, I'm just going to end the video in a minute. Thank you to James with the super chat. James has put £2 in and said, I used to like DT. Shame he wasn't good enough. I mean, I've seen that joke about 10 times today, but still, brief smile, a brief laugh you got there, James. Very, very good. Anyway, guys, I'm going to disappear. Apologies for the ranting, but like I said, this is my therapy. getting off my chest through the medium of video. But tomorrow night, the Neil Mellor interview is out. So if you're not doing anything tomorrow evening, go back along and check that out. If you've enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll catch you in a bit.